Hey guys, I wanted to come on tonight and talk about um, gray divorce. Um, if you want to just tell me where you're from as you come in, um, I just wanted to start out first explaining what it is. I think a lot of people probably don't know what gray divorce even means. Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure. I've never done StreamYard before, and I'm trying to make this a little bit bigger, but I'm not able to. So, anyways, just let me know as you come in where you're from. And for those who don't know me, my name is Kristen Bryce. I'm a psychiatric nurse, and I'm now doing my own I like to say advocacy business. I don't necessarily like to call it coaching. Depends on what it is that people are looking for. What I wanted to talk about tonight is how important it is as somebody who has been divorced myself and has parents that got divorced later in life to really understand that no matter what age the kids are, like divorce is a grief, no matter when it is. The loss can be, lasting for years, just as any grief is. You go through all the different stages of grief. Um, if you want to comment as you're coming in, I apologize because instead of just going live on Facebook, I decided to go live everywhere using StreamYard, but I'm not very used to it. So I'm just making sure that that it's working in all of the different areas that it's supposed to be. So just give me 1 second. I think it's working everywhere. Using StreamYard. Sorry. But okay. I'm not. So it's a little bit behind. So just give me 1 second. Just tell me. Everywhere. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So if you want to let me know where you're coming in from, I only see a couple people here, but I'm going to just start because a lot of what I want to talk about is just kind of the basics of what, like I said, what gray divorce is. I'll start out first by saying that I, want to offer that I think a lot of people come in into a divorce with like expectations. Some people, I think, just they've maybe heard of, divorce as only being difficult. I know that there are people who are very amicable during divorce, but no matter how old the kids are, there's still going to be a lot of issues, whether the kids are 7 or 17. They just come with a lot of different things. So the biggest thing that I have noticed now that I've gone through my own divorce while my kids were younger. So my daughters were, let's see, I think they were 2 and around 9, 8, no, 10. Anyways. And then when I went through my parents' divorce, I had actually just had my daughter. So I was 24 and my siblings were each younger, but that was when, we were all out of the house or at least had, moved out. Some of us were moved back at the time. But I think that the most important thing is that it is a loss, just as like a death could be. So if you have a loss, say, the death of a grandparent, which I actually ended up having, my grandfather died the same year that my parents were going through a divorce. It was kind of one thing after the other. If you don't get, the correct therapy or support or healing from one grief and then another one hits you, it just kind of keeps on, hitting you and hitting you. And you might not even realize at the time how much it's affecting you. And then when everything kind of dies down years later is when you sometimes realize, like, wow, this is the way that I'm doing something just because of maybe a fear that, a fear or a feeling that I had years before, whether it's the loss of somebody through death or the loss of a divorce, which is, the breaking down of a family. I am not here to talk a lot about myself. I more am doing this for awareness of how much, I don't know, some of you may have seen my post, but just since 1990, the amount of divorces that have occurred with those, 50 and older getting divorced have doubled just since 1990. They've tripled for those actually over 65, which is very, very shocking even to me, even though I know that this is happening more frequently. So I guess where I want to start is talking about kind of why I'm doing this, why I'm talking specifically about this, because obviously we all go through a bunch of different things in our lives. But like I said, I was going through my parents, we were going through their divorce. I think a lot of people say, like, they're going through the divorce, but for me now, going through my own as a child, you're going through the divorce too. And I think that that's what a lot of people forget to kind of hone in on. I was just telling my daughter that they did have a bunch of people doing, or they had a group when I think I was in middle school. It was called Banana Splits, and they had this, I think it was like once a week, they had something where they would all meet and talk about the difficulties that they had as kids from divorced homes. I honestly don't even know if they have anything like that anymore. My daughters, well, I think at the time of the divorce, they were both in private school. So I know that they don't have those a lot of times in private school. I don't know for anyone maybe who has kids in public school who still has that. I feel like that's something that would be very important, very helpful for kids. But they definitely don't have anything like that for older children, because it's not something that used to happen very frequently, was the divorcing later on. But I was just telling my daughter about that last night. That they used to have the support groups for younger kids. And I guess the reason why this kind of finally hit me as, like, this is what I want to be kind of concentrating on more. I was going to, do just a support type of coaching business just for single parents / divorced women. But this is something that I feel like there's an extra layer that doesn't get talked about, because when you're an adult, when it's happening, there's different things that can occur. You might have more of like a friendship with your parents, or one parent or the other. And so automatically, there's this kind of extra boundary that needs to get set. And not to say that parents of younger kids don't talk about the divorce with them, but not in the same way. Because when you have an older adult child, they can't talk to or I'm sorry, they talk to their parents sometimes more as a friend. So if like you're someone who has been confiding in your adult kid, or, you know, you're the kid, you've been confiding in your parent at like a friend level, and then all of a sudden this thing happens that it's affecting everybody. And it's like, okay, so am I supposed to not be talking about this anymore? I mean, yeah, like it can get very sticky. Especially, you know, depending on the circumstances. But to backpedal a little bit, so um, just a little bit about what was going on. So when I was in college, I started hearing that maybe my parents weren't doing too well. But I think I was kind of in denial. I was like, no, like that's fine. Like they're fine. Like they, you know, never fought, and they had a good marriage from what I always thought. It wasn't anything that like the relationship itself was toxic or anything at all. So I started kind of internalizing things, feeling like, you know, I need to go back home. I ended up actually transferring back home to a local college for my last year, because I just kind of was in my, I was also in my own relation, or no, I'm sorry, right after I transferred, I got into my own relationship. And like, so then I was like having my own issues in my own relationship. And then I was hearing that maybe my parents weren't doing well. Fast forward a couple of years, and I had been with my boyfriend for about 2.5 years, give or take a little bit, because um, I'm sorry, people on Facebook are saying it's not working. Hold on one second. I'm sorry for whoever's here. But sorry. Where is it? Okay. I think I'm going to have to do this too. There might be some feedback issues. I might have to. I might have to come off of StreamYard and only do Facebook, because I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go off StreamYard and start over. What's going on? I don't know. I always have trouble, technical problems when I'm doing this, honestly. So I thought that this entire time I was live on Facebook, and apparently I wasn't. So let's see what's going on. Shoot, hold on, I gotta post. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cut this down a little bit here. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. The event. I had an event started. What is happening right now? This is so annoying. Maybe that's it. This is so weird. Oh my goodness. I feel like this happened the last time I went live too. Where is it? Can people hear me? I don't know what's going on. People in the event are telling me that they can't hear me. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm going to end this StreamYard and start it back over on Facebook because it's not working the way I wanted it to. Sorry, guys.